Picture this, a cold, damp room somewhere in early 1900s Germany. No money, no backing, not even stable electricity. Just one guy sitting in silence, stitching pieces of leather together like his life depends on it. And honestly, it kinda does. No one's watching him, no one believes in him, and the world outside, it's slowly falling apart. But here's the part that feels off. That same quiet, overlooked guy goes on to build Adidas. Yeah, that Adidas, the brand worn by millions. And just when everything starts to rise, it all cracks. His business, his world, even his own brother turns into his biggest rival. This isn't just a success story. This is obsession, tension, and a journey that almost didn't make it out alive. Welcome to Truthful. If you're liking what you see, let me know in the comments. And now, let's dive into the story. Adi Dassler wasn't born into opportunity. Nah, not even close. He was born into something heavier. Something that kinda sticks to your skin like cold air you can't shake off. Early 1900s Germany, where everything felt slow but uneasy. Like the world was quietly struggling behind the scenes. And in this small, almost forgotten town called Herzogenaurach, life didn't shout, it whispered. But those whispers carried weight. And inside a cramped house filled with the smell of damp fabric and worn-out leather, Adi grew up watching his father bent over broken shoes, fixing them like he was trying to hold reality together, piece by piece, while his mother worked endlessly in a laundry setup that never really felt dry. Steam rising, wools sweating, everything slightly cold, slightly off, like time just lingered there. And somewhere in that strange, heavy environment, a young Adi wasn't just living, he was observing quietly, deeply, almost obsessively, especially when it came to sports, because yeah, he loved it. But something about it didn't sit right with him. Like the athletes were out there pushing their limits, bodies moving fast, chasing victory. But their shoes, man, they felt wrong. Like they didn't belong. Heavy, stiff, almost dragging them back. And that thought didn't leave him. It stayed, looping in his mind like a question with no answer. Why does this feel so off? So while other kids were outside making noise, living simple lives, Adi would sit in silence, sketching shapes that didn't exist yet, cutting pieces that didn't fit, trying, failing, trying again, like something inside him refused to let go. And eventually that damp laundry room, the same place filled with silence and dripping water, became his world. His lab, his escape, no proper tools, no real setup, just scraps of leather, basic needles, rough hands, and this almost unsettling level of focus. Like he wasn't just making shoes, he was chasing something deeper, something invisible. Some days, the electricity would flicker or disappear completely, leaving him working in dim light that barely held the room together. Some days food was scarce. Some days nothing felt stable. But he kept going, like stopping wasn't even an option. Like something in him said, keep moving, no matter what. And that quiet obsession, that almost eerie consistency, that's where Adidas really began. Not as a business, not as a dream people could understand, but as a problem he refused to ignore. Something that kept pulling him back into that room again and again, like it had a grip on him. Then came Rudolf, and everything shifted, but not in a calm way. Nah, it felt like the energy changed, like something new entered the room. Rudolf wasn't like Adi at all. He was loud, sharp, knew how to talk, knew how to sell, the kind of guy who could walk into a space and take control of it, while Adi stayed in the background, quiet, focused, almost lost in his own thoughts. And somehow together, they worked, like two completely different forces aligning just enough to build something real. The Dassler brothers' shoe factory. And for a moment, yeah, it felt right. Like things were finally moving in the direction they were meant to. Adi buried in the details, obsessing over every stitch, every grip, every tiny adjustment, while Rudolf pushed those creations into the world, turning them into something people could actually see, something people could believe in. And then came that moment. 1936 Berlin Olympics, the kind of moment where everything feels tense, like the air itself is watching. And Adi, instead of waiting, instead of playing it safe, just stepped forward and approached Jesse Owens directly. No big name behind him, no safety net, just belief. Raw, risky belief. And when Owens stepped onto that track wearing those shoes, something shifted, like the atmosphere tightened. And then it happened. Not just a win, but dominance. 4 gold medals, the crowd roaring. History unfolding in real time. And those shoes right there in the middle of it all. And suddenly everything exploded. Attention, recognition. orders flooding in. The quiet work from that damp room now echoing across the world. But here's where things start to feel wrong again. Because success didn't bring peace. It brought cracks, and then World War II hit. And everything just spiraled. Factories shutting down, resources disappearing, the outside world turning darker, heavier, unpredictable. And inside, between the brothers, something started to break. Slowly at first, like a tension you can feel but can't explain. Conversations growing colder, silence stretching longer, looks that carried something unspoken. Until one day it just snapped. And when it did, it wasn't clean. It wasn't simple. It was messy, personal, like something deeper had been damaged. And just like that, they split. Not just as partners, but as brothers entirely. Same town, but it felt divided. Like two sides of something broken. No communication, no fixing it. Rudolph walking away to build Puma, Adi staying behind to build Adidas. And suddenly it wasn't just business anymore. It felt like something darker. Like a quiet war where every move mattered and every success carried weight. And now Adi stood alone again. Everything around him unstable, business shaken, family gone. The world still trying to recover. The kind of moment where most people would just stop, just give in. Because honestly, it would make sense, but not him, nah. He went quiet again. The same way he did at the beginning. Like retreating into that space where everything slows down and sharpens at the same time. No noise, no distractions, just focus, just work, like nothing else existed. While the world outside tried to rebuild itself, Adi rebuilt his vision piece by piece, not chasing hype, not chasing attention, just chasing performance, something real, something that worked. And then came 1954, World Cup, rain pouring down like the sky itself was against them. The field turning messy, unstable, players slipping, losing balance, everything feeling unpredictable, almost chaotic. But the German team had something different, something subtle but powerful. Adidas shoes with removable studs, something new, something others didn't fully understand. And while everyone else struggled, they adapted, moved with grip, with control, like they had an edge that didn't belong to anyone else. And when they won, it wasn't just a victory. It felt like a shift, like the world paused for a second and took notice. And from that moment on, Adidas wasn't just a company. It became something bigger, something tied to identity, to performance, to something almost symbolic. And Adi never changed into some loud figure chasing attention. Nah, he stayed the same. Quiet, detail-focused, always listening, always improving. Always chasing something just out of reach. Like perfection was never fully there, but always close enough to keep him moving. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, just pure mastery of his craft. And when you really look at it, from that damp, silent laundry room to a global empire that echoes across the world, from a broken bond to a legacy that outlived everything around it, it hits different because it wasn't built in comfort. It was built in pressure, in silence, in moments where everything feels like it's slipping, and something inside you just refuses to let go. And that's the part that stays with you. The part that feels slightly unsettling, like a quiet reminder that sometimes the biggest things don't come from perfect conditions. They come from places that feel off, uncertain, almost broken. And somehow, against all odds, they still rise. And when you really think about it, this wasn't just about shoes. It was about a man who stayed locked in, even when everything around him was falling apart. When the world felt off, when nothing made sense, when most people would have walked away, he didn't. And that's the part that sticks with you. Sometimes it's not talent, not luck. It's that quiet, relentless obsession that refuses to let go. If this story hit you in any way, go ahead, drop a like, share it with someone who needs that push. And if you're into real stories that feel raw, intense, and a little deeper than usual, make sure you subscribe to Truthful, because this is where stories don't just inspire. They stay with you.